Greetings and welcome to episode 38 of Change Your Focus, a mindfulness podcast designed to inspire and center you. I am Dr. Aiko-Douglas, your host, transformational life coach, life integration specialist, and mindfulness practitioner, here to empower you to transform your life one mindful decision at a time. I am also here inspiring you to be mindful of the products you use on and in your body, as well as the products you use around your home. So, we were having technical difficulties with the chat, but I believe we have it figured out now. So if you are on live, please share where you're chiming in from and say hi. Okay, let's get right in. In last week's episode, I talked about commitment. I shared stories about my commitment to this podcast and teaching others about natural products, my commitment to my clients as a life coach, my commitment to my purpose to teach and nurture, and my commitment to my own health. It is because of my commitment to my health that I feel good and look my best at 43 and decided to support the Fab Over 40 campaign by raising money for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. As you have seen, I've posted here and on my social media platforms how I am doing. So if you're tracking that, you know I made the top 15 cut thanks to you all's vote. And the next cut will be the top 10 in about 5 days. So please use the Fab Over 40 link in the description to vote for me to be the next face of New Beauty Magazine and the winner of this Fab Over 40 contest. Thank you for your vote and support. Now back to the previous episode. I am sure you have found this to be true in your life. It takes commitment to bring your dreams to life. It is not an easy feat. However, it is worth the commitment necessary to see all plans through, no matter how long it takes. We must show up and focus on our desired outcomes and give our best daily, day after day. So if you found my story last week inspiring or the meditation enlightening, or if any of the information was fruitful, please share. Also, if you have any questions about the episode or would like life coaching to support you in being committed to making your dreams a reality, please click my Calendly link in the description or message me on any social platform at Integr8 Lyfe for a complimentary discovery session. I would love to support you. So let's get into it. Today's episode is about imagination. Now, I invite you to contemplate this quote inspired by Napoleon Hill. Our only limitation within reason lies in our development and use of our imagination. I'll say that one again. Our only limitation within reason lies in our development and use of our imagination. When I contemplate this quote, I think about when I was a little girl and I would play with my dolls and imagine all sorts of wonderful things. I would take them to balls and festivals, on vacations, to parties. They get married, travel the world, and have lots of fun. These are some of the things that I imagine in the lives of my dolls. I also enjoyed dressing up in my aunt's clothes when I got a little bit older, and all of her heels, they were so pretty, and I would pretend to go to all sorts of fun events and do fun things and meet interesting people and have parties. Like most children, I always imagined adult life to be so much fun, having the freedom to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, go where I want to go, live how I want to live. So when I became an adult, I did all those things that I imagined as a child. I traveled the world, tried all sorts of new things when I left my mom's home and went off to college and started to build my own life from trying different types of foods to different spiritual practices to reading different types of books besides religious texts. Um, I tried different religious practices and I had so much fun. And what I realized is that I had to see and experience life beyond my current surroundings to be able to imagine beyond my current surroundings and present reality at the time when I was a little girl. While we grew up in an underserved community, my parents made sure we experienced life beyond our neighborhood. We were involved in many extracurricular activities through our church, school, my mom's job. I was involved in dance and charm school. I didn't realize this at the time that it was these experiences which allowed me to develop my imagination and dream bigger. My parents would take us on road trips. I remember my first flight was a trip to LA with my best friend at the time and her mom when I was in sixth grade. And we played on the beach. We went to Universal Studios. We were at Disneyland. And we even had the opportunity to participate, that's right, in a play when we were in Disneyland. And they invited us to be a part of the act. And we dressed up in ballerina costumes and we participated in the show. And it was a dream world. And so I later took my first international trip when I was in 12th grade to Israel and being in the Holy Land, walking on the same streets as Jesus once did, visiting all the magnificent places that I'd heard and eventually read about in the Bible was a dream. So I had all these wonderful, magnificent experiences allowing me to dream bigger, allowing me to see differently and experience more and imagine more than my current surroundings. And I always felt blessed and extremely grateful to be living the life I was living because of the amazing experiences that no one else in my neighborhood was having. So I realized early on the power of my imagination. I understood that as I visualized things, thought about them, and even especially wrote them down, then these things eventually happened that I desired, and it felt great. I knew that I liked traveling, so I always wanted a job where I could travel the world. And I've talked about this on here before. And while I didn't know at the time when I was in high school what my job would be, what my career would be, when I was out of school, when I graduated and completed my MBA, it was another dream come true. It came into fruition because I imagined myself in a job traveling. I wrote it down. And later, I even found one of my journals where I wrote that dream and was living the reality of having a job where I was able to travel the world. And so again, this was one of the beginning experiences, the early experiences where I could see, okay, I think about this thing, I imagine this thing, I see how it will feel because I enjoyed traveling as a little girl. And so I wanted more of that and just imagining it and writing it down, journaling. I've shared on here before, thanks to my theater teacher in high school, that started my habit of journaling, really writing things down consistently after I imagined them. And so, yeah, that was one of the first unifesting experiences I had as a young adult, being in this career, in this job, and traveling and having fun at the time. Traveling with the company was a great experiences. I didn't know that when I wrote that down, I would be an accountant or a financial analyst traveling globally with a company. I just knew I want to travel for the job. That's it. We don't have to have it all figured out, folks. Just imagine it, feel into it, write it down, focus on who you are becoming, who you want to become, and leave the rest up to divine. Divine will always blow your mind. So, fast forward to some of the most recent imaginings and co creations and manifesting in my life. As an educator living in the Bay Area, I have told this story before. And at the beginning of the pandemic, I imagined living by the ocean with an amazing view of the Pacific. And when the pandemic started, I had the opportunity to visit Mexico and see what it would be like to live by the ocean. So I said yes to the opportunity. I could have said no, not really knowing, just, you know, maybe disregarding my dream or what I imagined. But no, the opportunity was there. It's like, come try it out for 2 weeks, see what happens, see how it feels. And so I said yes to the opportunity, even though, again, this was beginning times of the pandemic. I didn't allow what may have been in my head, what could have been in my head about fears about things and crossing the border and safety. I didn't allow any of that to stop me from experiencing it. And yeah, it felt exactly as I had imagined, as I had daydreamed about and even dreamed about and journaled. So here I am visiting, and I'm experiencing a peace, a calm. I'm hearing the ocean as I sleep, literally all the things I imagine, and it feels great. And so on my way back to the Bay, I decided that when my lease was up, I was going to relocate. And I had no idea that I would live in Mexico for 3 years. I didn't plan that. I just imagined living by the ocean in a place that made sense for me, in a great apartment with a great view is where I ended up in Mexico, literally a view from the entire Pacific from the north to the south. And it was amazing. And it was at a price that was affordable for me, because I did remember thinking when I saw this ocean view, and I was like, well, I'm living in a bay on a teacher's salary. I don't know what ocean views I could get and thrive and live well. And so now I didn't bound the universe to that. I just knew, like, in my head, I don't know. So I'll allow some magic to happen. And I did. I released trying to make it happen how I would have imagined it would be. And I just allowed divine to take over. And I said yes to the opportunities that presented themselves. And that's it. That's how I ended up living in Mexico for 3 years in a dream come true apartment with this, again, amazing view, being able to wake up and go to sleep to the sound of the ocean, and being able to look out of my bedroom window or the window in the living room and see the ocean, being able to do yoga on my patio with this ocean view, and even being able to be cooking in my kitchen and turn around and see this spectacular view over the Pacific. And having those same feelings that I imagined I would feel when thinking about it was all amazing. So, yeah, these imaginings and trusting what I imagine and saying yes to the opportunities that got me to the reality of living in the great imaginings is absolutely beautiful. Trusting divine to co-create with you some of the most perfect scenarios, serendipitous moments to manifest your dreams. So another reality I am now living that I imagined, which I have also shared on here before, is having a better relationship with my mother. And I am grateful that I do now. I remember imagining feeling safe around her and not feeling judged or ridiculed by her. And I wanted to not lose my patience when I felt triggered by her. And I wanted to really see her and love her, flaws and all, without projecting my expectations of what I wanted her to be as my mother onto her. And I imagined it. I focused on becoming more of the daughter that I wanted to be. And I forgave her and I forgave myself. And I trusted the process. And I kept focusing on how I wanted to feel in her presence. And I kept imagining it. And it feels good to be here. She understands me more, and I understand her better. And I'm so grateful to witness the transformations that we have both made in our relationship, all because I imagined that it could be so. I released the old narratives, the prior experiences, and trusted that we could co create new, better experiences that felt good for both of us. And we're doing that, and we do that. And so, yeah, the power of our imagination. And so, one more recent experience with imagination is me uniting with my beloved husband. Well, I didn't know when, where, or how I'd meet him. I knew how I'd feel in his presence. I imagined how much fun we'd have walking on the beach, as I would be walking on the beach in Mexico, imagining him by my side, holding my hand, looking into the ocean, having intimate conversations. I imagined that he'd enjoy laughing and playing and being silly with me, because I'm very silly, if you all don't know that side of me. I imagine he'd be vegan and enjoy my healthy cooking. I imagine that he'd be a natural protector and provider and enjoy being a partner and companion and my friend. I imagine he'd be intentional and communicate clearly and know exactly what he wanted in partnership, in a monogamous relationship, and what he'd be looking for in me. I imagine he'd enjoy helping me problem solve in my personal and professional life. I imagine he'd have the skills I needed to develop and grow in business and on this podcast, to even co create this podcast. I knew and imagined he'd have the skills that I needed to be able to bring this to life. And I did a lot of journaling about him and how our relationship would feel and what we'd experience together. After each dating relationship I had that didn't pan out or grow in the way that I'd hoped, it was an opportunity for me to reimagine what I wanted in partnership. And I really used those opportunities to reimagine and say, okay, in this relationship, what did I learn? And what in this relationship would I like to experience more of? And what in this relationship do I never want to experience again in another relationship? I really got clear and imagined more clearly and reimagined and journaled again. A lot of writing. And so I imagine he'd be like me in so many areas of life: driven, motivated, curious, well rounded, eclectic, spiritual, intelligent, kind, helpful, humble, a humble person, a person who values integrity, authenticity, a successful man. Like, once I grew on my life journey, my spiritual journey of really liking all of me, flaws and all, accepting all of me and loving me, is when I was ready to say, I'm ready to actualize the most divine and beautiful reflection of myself in a male counterpart that is also masculine. It's when I released a lot of my overly masculine traits and relaxed into my femininity and trusted, I'm ready. I'm really ready to manifest this male and more masculine version of myself, a beautiful divine reflection. I imagine I'd know him and recognize him because he'd be, again, so much like me. And as I've shared in a few of the past episodes, how I'm sitting on the couch and looking and just shaking my head because he is so much like me, and it feels good. I laugh. There are times when I'm frustrated because he's also being like me and I have frustrating traits, right? But it's good. I accept him. I love him. I see myself in him. So now he's here, and when we're co-creating these beautiful memories, either walking on the beach as I had imagined and having fun and playing and learning and getting to know each other, having intimate conversations as he's helping me film this podcast and grow into the businesswoman I desire to become and I imagine myself being. And as we're sitting on the couch, even doing nothing, I remember imagining it all and living all that I imagine in this partnership, in our sacred union, feels absolutely amazing. I feel so blessed. I feel soul blessed. It took me dreaming, daydreaming, journaling, visualizing, believing, and showing up to bring all that I imagined into fruition. It is not magic. It is intentional action to become the person who could live this specific reality. So until this day, there are dreams written in my journal that I discover I am living or have experienced. And it was all reminds me the power of my imagination and of divine's love, kindness, and faithfulness towards me. What a blessing. So in this moment, I would like to guide you through a brief mindfulness practice to support you in developing and using your imagination. So before we begin, I invite you to sit on the floor cross-legged or in a chair with your feet flat on the floor to ground yourself. Your spine will be straight and your neck an extension of your spine. Today, we will engage in deep belly breathing. So close your eyes and begin to breathe deeply and slowly into your abdomen. As you inhale, you will feel your stomach expand. And as you exhale, you will feel your stomach contract. Breathing deeply and slowly into your stomach at your own pace. Taking your time. Inhaling into your abdomen. As you're breathing, simply notice how this breath is transforming your body. Perhaps your shoulders have dropped. Perhaps you feel more at ease. Simply notice what is shifting in your body. Taking your time. Now on your next inhale, inhale deeply through your nose and hold at the top for 8 seconds. Inhaling deeply, holding, and exhale slowly out of your mouth for a count of 10. And relax your entire body. And stay connected to your breath breathing at a slow, deep pace, one that feels comfortable for you. And now imagine a bright white light beaming from the inside of your core. And now imagine this bright light extending upwards, filling the entire top half of your body until it fills all the way up to the crown of your head and begins to shoot out of the top of the crown of your head all the way into the sky. And now imagine that same white, bright light at the core of you, filling the bottom half of your body, going down through your legs, all the way to your feet, and shooting out the bottom, the soles of your feet, and piercing into the earth until it reaches the earth's core. Now you're filled with this bright light. Now imagine where you'd like to be in your life by December 31st. In all areas of your life, imagine mentally where you'd like to be, how you'd like your mental state to be. Just imagine it. Now physically see yourself by December 31st. How would you like to feel? Perhaps having more of a sense of vitality, more energetic. How would you like to feel physically? Imagine it. And now financially, what do you see and imagine for yourself by December 31st? Maybe you've paid off some debt. Maybe you've invested in some stocks or ETFs that you've wanted to. Where do you see yourself financially? Maybe you purchase real estate that you've been looking into. Notice where you are financially. And now spiritually, where would you like to be by December 31st? Maybe you feel more in tune and trust your intuition. Maybe you have a daily meditation practice that supports you in trusting the decisions you make. See yourself spiritually December 31st. And then what about relationally in all of your relationships? Imagine where you'd like to be in your relationships. Maybe those are friendships. Maybe that's family relationships. Maybe that's coworkers. Maybe it's with your clients. Simply notice. Maybe that's with a companion or partner. Really see all the areas of your life. Socially, are you engaged in new communities? Did you join groups that you say you wanted to join? See yourself. All areas of your life by December 31st. Really imagine where you'd like to be and who you'd like to be. And now imagine, how do you want to feel in all those areas, in all of your relationships? Maybe you want to feel more dependable. Maybe you want to feel more confident. Simply notice and imagine. Maybe you would like to be in relationship and partnership if you don't already have that. So imagine that for yourself. That can happen by December 31st. You can meet the person you imagine. So imagine it, see it, feel how it would feel. You can become who you want to become. You can have a better relationship with a parent or sibling or child. See it all. Do you want to travel somewhere by December 31st? Imagine it. And take a deep breath. Taking all this in, feeling it all. And now imagine where you'd like to be by this time next year in 2025 in all areas of your life. Mentally, how do you want to feel? Perhaps more grounded, more stable, more expansive. How do you want to feel physically? Perhaps more strong in your body. Maybe more relaxed. Maybe you want to be well and be rid of ailments and dis-eases within your body. Simply notice what you desire by this time next year. Imagine yourself financially. Really see what you want. Imagine it. Having the financial freedom and flexibility to do what you want, when you want. Making financially wise decisions that propel you forward into the financial future you imagine for yourself. See it. Really see it. Who do you want to be spiritually? See yourself becoming that person. Trusting divine more. Praying, knowing the power of the words you utter. Being in charge and controlling your mind. How do you want to feel? Perhaps more assured, more confident. See it, imagine it. See the person you must become to have the reality you imagine. What must you be more devoted to? What must you commit to? Most importantly, what must you believe about yourself and life? Really imagine it. See yourself committing daily to yourself and living this life you imagine. Becoming all that you imagine. How does that feel in your body? Where do you feel those sensations? Tune into them and breathe slowly. See yourself becoming. Maybe you join groups that support you in tending to your mental health. Or perhaps you go on a spiritual retreat. Maybe you begin a rise ritual, something you do every week. Early, meditate, pray, journal, setting daily intentions, saying affirmations. Maybe you hire a coach to support you in whatever it is you want to actualize. See yourself doing what it takes. Really imagine it, you becoming and aligning with all that you desire in this life. Can you imagine yourself experiencing what you really want in life? Keep imagining and notice how you feel as you imagine it all. Does your heart feel light? Do you feel excited? Are you happy to become a better version of yourself? Take a deep breath and hold these feelings and good vibrations. And take this with you throughout your day. And remember, as you dream and daydream and journal all that you imagined, you have the power. Now take the deepest breath you've taken all day and slowly return to the space. When you are ready, and how does that feel? What did you imagine? What did you see for yourself? Please take some time today to journal your imagination and make time as often as you can to journal all that you can imagine for yourself. And if you are finding it challenging or a bit difficult to imagine, I encourage you to visit a new place or change your routine and go a different way to a coffee shop or take a different route to work or begin to welcome in new ways of doing things and see what you notice. Now, to complete our mindfulness session for today, let's fill in the blank to affirm ourselves. So first, you'll say what you imagine for yourself. Then you will affirm your worth. And finally, you will commit to becoming who you want to be and doing what it takes. So it sounds like this. I imagine myself, and then fill in the blank with whatever. So for me, I would say, I imagine myself being an influential leader in the global mindfulness space. So whatever your thing is that you imagine for yourself, you'll fill that in. And then the second thing, I am worthy of experiencing all the beautiful things I imagine. And then last, I am committed to doing what it takes to live the life I imagine. So let's do that together. I imagine myself, fill in the blank. Good. I am worthy of experiencing all the beautiful things I imagine. What are you worthy of? Go ahead. I am worthy of. Good. And lastly, what are you committed to? I am committed to doing what it takes to live the life I imagine. State your commitment to yourself. Excellent. That's beautiful. And that brings us to the end of our session. May you enjoy integrating mindfulness into your life daily. I invite you to be mindful, breathe deep often, and contemplate all the ways you can use the power of your imagination. Remember, mindfulness is always available to you every minute of every day. May you use each minute to be mindful. I am Dr. Aiko-Douglas, your host, transformational life coach, life integration specialist, and mindfulness practitioner, here to empower you to transform your life one mindful decision at a time. I am also here inspiring you to be mindful of the products you use on and in your body, as well as the products you use around your home. Also, I want to remind you all to support me in the Fab Over 40 campaign by voting for me and donating money to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. Please use the link in the description to vote for me to be the next face of new beauty and Fab Over 40 and donate to this worthy cause. Thank you for your vote and support. If you found this podcast through social media, please share which platform in the comments below. Also, remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to follow my journey. And join my exclusive community on Patreon at Integr8 Lyfe. Thank you for tuning in, listening, engaging, and being mindful with me today. Namaste.